and then you're creating a world around you for people to come into your life to be the best that they can be, because the only way for us to grow is success through others. Growing by yourself is a very difficult thing to sustain, right? We have to grow, and we are influenced by the people around us. One of the things that and I won't stand up here all day like this, but I was really touched. I've been with Keller Williams 2 years this month after a 20-year career at RE/MAX, and started my career at Coldwell Banker. So I'm in the trenches. I'm a lot like you guys, trying to figure it all out, messy in the middle. Where are we going? What does growth look like? How do we run the models and the systems and bring people into our world? And the compensation models. Earlier it was asked, who's running the best team out there? Perfect team, right? And I raised my hand. I said, I'm running the perfect team. I'm running the perfect team today for what I know right now, right? I know I am, and I know my team is going to constantly improve and grow, and I'm seeing massive changes and huge shifts in my team, in their production, in their lives, in their worlds, in their character and who they are and what they do. It comes from us as leadership. There's a great photo, I don't know if you got that photo, Eric, but there's a great photo of me at Mega Camp. Gary called me up a couple months ago and said, hey, I've had a chance to review your P&Ls, and I'd like you on stage. And for those of us that have been in the business for a long time, for me, 25 years, that's like your life's work. That's like getting called up to be, like really, it's a big deal. And it's flattering, and it's humbling, and it's overwhelming, and it's emotional, and it's a huge accomplishment and achievement for anybody to be able to get on stage with Gary, especially with the new standards that he set for making sure that he is personally reviewed and approved of your P&Ls. I sent you recently, you may not have it, but it's a great photo of me on stage with Gary and him sticking his hand over my mouth to shut me up. So hopefully Shelby won't jump up here and Tony and shut me up. And
what did you say?
There it is right here.
Yeah, what you
So
said.
it was Gary. It was pretty phenomenal. But I was just talking about my journey at RE/MAX and the scarcity mindset, and really the differences in leadership between Dave Liniger and Gary Keller. And for those of you that spent a long time at RE/MAX, I know there's several of us in the room that had a career at RE/MAX for a long time, right? 15 years. And it's a completely different mindset. You don't know what you don't know. It's just the way that it is, right? We don't know the things that we don't know. I can get up here and I can talk about, and we're going to address all the questions that you guys had this morning, that you wanted to address today, and some of those topics came up and some of them didn't. We're going to go through those. Why? Because I really feel like I can have a conversation with you guys about anything in the industry. I've been in it for 25 years. I personally sold $2 billion worth of real estate in the Scottsdale market. And so I feel like I'm somewhat of an expert or an authority in residential real estate, the selling of used houses, right? We sell used homes. That's not an easy thing to do, right? It's really not. It's not as glamorous as it might seem. We get to sit in people's living rooms as they cry and pour their stories out to us, and so on and so forth. So I feel like I can sit here really all day long for hours and hours, and we can walk through the entire industry and what it looks like and how to go from point A to point B. So I got a call from Gary, and he said, "So Andrew, first of all, when I joined KW, I had a dream of getting into the room with Gary. Gary's Top 100 Mastermind group is a very elite group. It's a very selective group. You have to qualify to get in there. And I shared this last night at the Mastermind dinner. My hope, my prayer, my real belief in you guys is that you will all make it into that room. It's really important. We always talk about the 5 people that we're around the most are the ones that influence us. When you can get into a room of 100 people that think so big and are performing at such a high level, to be able to smorgasbord that environment and pick and choose things that work in your life and in your personality and implement, it's an unbelievable atmosphere. So I don't know what the numbers are today, and I'd love for your region to let you guys know, but I think to qualify to get in the room right now, you need about 1.5 million in GCI for the second tier group. And then I think the top tier group is 2 million plus in GCI. So Gary's group, the whole idea behind it was the top 1%. Well, as the company's grown, top 1% is now 185 people. So they take the top 100 and they cut that off, and I think it's around 2 million in GCI or more. And then the remaining 85 people, they draw that down. So every month, that number goes up because everybody in this industry is getting better that's at a high level, right? Iron sharpens iron. The reason I'm here today to share some insights to you on how you can grow your business and truly make 2020 life-changing and the best year of your entire career and your entire life. It's really super important. I'm going to share with you guys my 2020 team advance, how I brought it to my team and really delivered a message to them about what 2020 is going to look like for us as an organization, as a team. This is all very, very new to me. 20 years at RE/MAX, $40 million a year in production. Never really did more than $40 million a year in production. I was kind of grossed out at about $1 million, $1.2 million in GCI. I was running ragged, I was running crazy, I never really had a team, and I was put on stage a lot at RE/MAX, right? As you were, right? We both are Circle of Legend award winners. It's $10 million in GCI. I was the 312th recipient of that award, and it's a completely different mindset. So Gary called me on the phone and he said, Andrew, can you give me an idea of where it all began for you? I said, sure, I'll give you an idea of where it began. About 30 years ago, I received a bachelor's degree in social work from ASU. Go Devils! And for those of you that live in Northern California, send your kids to ASU because they'll stay there and then they can work for me and buy homes in our community. And you can come visit. So I have a bachelor's degree in social work from ASU, and I was very fortunate and very blessed to be able to take a job as a low-income housing advocate working for the city of Phoenix as a social worker for Head Start. It was my dream job. It was my dream career. All I wanted to do was get into community, build community, grassroots, make a difference, make changes, early childhood intervention, really intervene with families, and really be able to provide an opportunity for them to have a safe roof over their head, food in the refrigerator, clothing on their backs, beds in the bedroom, really basic needs stuff. And I was just really driven to do it. I was driven to do it because I grew up in a very poor environment in Los Angeles, very low income, very dysfunctional, very disruptive, and we had everything in my life was scarcity. We had no food, we had no clothes, we had no house, we had hardly anything. Both of my parents were physically, emotionally, and financially disabled. Not their faults. They were kind of born that way. They sort of is how it evolved. My father had 8 kids with 3 wives, not at the same time. He was not a polygamist. But he suffered from a lot of mental illness, and he was in and out of mental hospitals his entire life. He was born in 1933, weighing 21 ounces, premature. His mother really never gave him a lot of love and affection, never really held him. So he didn't really know how to respond emotionally to people, and just suffered from a lot of schizophrenia and manic depression, and never worked a day in his life, and never supported any of his children. He just didn't know how. Not his fault, just was that's just the way it was. My mother, she weighed 400 pounds when she died, 50 years old, but she took a temp job at a real estate office in Woodland Hills, California called James R. Gary. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it. I got to attend an event when I was about 8 or 9 years old in the parking lot of James R. Gary's office, where he had a wrapped red double-decker bus. And he comes out of the office, the real estate office, and there's 1,000 people in the parking lot, and he's wearing a kilt and playing bagpipes. And I was mesmerized. I was just in shock. My mother only had the job for about a week or 2. She could never really hold a job for a lot of different reasons. She suffered from clinical depression. But she was very physically abusive. I was beaten every day of my life with belts and hangers. Every day, a day didn't go by where I wasn't hit for one reason or the other. Usually it was because I didn't come home quick enough with a pack of cigarettes for her, or whatever it might have been. And when I was 11 years old, I became a ward of the state in California and went into foster care for 3 years. I spent 3 years in foster care, and then at 14, I was emancipated on my own, mostly homeless, went to 7 high schools in 5 semesters. So I bounced around and bounced around and bounced around, and I was looking for growth, and I was looking for achievement, and I was driven to succeed, and I was ambitious, and I was focused, and I was motivated, and I was really hungry for stability, and I was really hungry for abundance and structure. I wanted everything that I didn't have as a child. It was really, really important to me, right? Which is why I went into real estate. So we had structure and abundance, consistency. Totally opposite. So anyway, I dropped out of high school my junior year. I moved to Arizona because my father was locked up at Arizona State Mental Hospital, and I started putting myself through college. It took me 3 years to get an associate's degree from Scottsdale Community College, and I met my wife the very first semester there at Scottsdale Community College in 1987. And we became very, very good friends, but I was engaged at 19 years old to a gal who was Southern Baptist. I fell in love with her family and their values, their deep sense of structure and organization, and they were poor, just as poor as I was, but they were broken, not poor. They were a family of real values. They had a lot of values that were really significant to me. But as I got a little bit older and I graduated and got my associate's degree, I realized that I was really removed from my Jewish roots, and that Jewish roots were really important to me. I shared with the group last night that as a young kid on Friday night, the synagogue that we belonged to would send us home with food boxes. We'd get all the leftover food from the smorgasbord that was going on Friday nights, and that's really how we ate during the week. And we had a strong connection to our temple, despite being poor and having the issues that we had. It was a strong connection, but I was disconnected from that for several years. So I decided I'll volunteer in the Israeli army and go move to Israel. So I did. At 20 years old, I signed up. I volunteered in the Israeli army. I moved to Israel. I broke up with this gal, Jody, that I was seeing. And my best friend in college and I, we write letters back and forth every day together. Snail mail. Took a while, a couple weeks. This is 1990, January 1st. And she decided 6 months later that she would volunteer in the Israeli army and move to Israel and be with me. So here we are. Now we've been married since 91, so that's 28 years. And we've had 4 children that we've raised all out of the house. 2 graduated college, 2 still in college. And she's really runs so much of my life and my business and raised our kids, and it's just been amazing. So we come back from Israel because my mother has emergency surgery at UCLA, and she doesn't survive much longer after the surgery, but long story short, we make it home, we say goodbye, and put her to rest. And we come back to Phoenix, and I enroll at ASU in the social work program, and I graduated with a bachelor's degree in social work, and I went into housing advocacy. And so through that work, I was really inspired by improving the lives of the people that I was working with and making sure that their housing conditions were really, really appropriate for their success in life. Home ownership, we were just talking about it, how significant it is, how important it is to have a safe place to live. And I was doing that work. I felt like it was God's work. It was a gift for me to be able to go into community and build community. And I was a disruptive social worker. I would come in and do things that none of the other caseworkers around, everybody else felt like they were in this bureaucratic job. I knew I was changing community and I was building community. I would pull into these neighborhoods and the children and the parents would run out the door and tell me what they were so thankful for the bed that they got, or the clothing box they got, or the utility assistance that they got, or the mother got her GED and now has a part-time job, right? All of these success stories that I was experiencing were so fulfilling and rewarding for me to see their lives changing and their homes changing. I still felt like I needed to further my education to be a better housing advocate, so I enrolled in real estate school and got my real estate license to understand the Landlord-Tenant Act and understand the laws and the rules behind real estate. Sitting through the real estate class, it became apparent to me that the majority of the people in that class didn't have necessarily the same intentions that I did. In fact, I could listen to the conversations around the tables going on at real estate school about how excited they were to leave their corporate jobs, to get into a job where they didn't have to report to anybody, they're going to make all kinds of money and drive nice cars, and life is going to be really simple and easy. But these are the same people that would leave class early, show up late, spend an hour in the parking lot on a smoke break, not taking notes, not paying attention. And I'm looking around the room, there's probably 150 students in this real estate class, and I thought, there's not 149 of these agents combined are not going to be able to do what I'm going to be able to do. Like I could just see they didn't have, their intentions weren't there, their drive wasn't there, their motivation wasn't there, they're in it for the wrong reason, right? Are we in this because we want to make a difference in community, right? And I mean, for me, that's what it was all about. I got my real estate license, and we were pregnant with our first child, who's now 25 years old. And I told my wife, I said, I'm just going to do both. I'll do social work and work for the city, and I'll start real estate part-time. My first year, I sold 40 houses. It's a pretty good start. And I went to my wife, I said, I think I'm going to continue to try another 6 months at this and see if it was just not a fluke. But it was not hard for me to sell those 40 houses because I'd get off work from the city at 5 o'clock. And then I'd go door knock in these low-income communities that I was working and have conversations with my tenants about buying real estate, right? Why are you paying $500 a month in rent when you could own this house for $350 a month, right? My average sale price the first year in the business was about $75,000 on a 50-50 split with my broker. And I made way more money than the $19,000 that I was making a year as a social worker, right? But I had a plan. I was going to go on and get my master's in social work so I could get up to about 35 or 40 grand a year. So I knew I was going to be able to provide for my family. 6 months later, my business just continued to grow, and I told my wife I'm going to go full-time into real estate, and I had her full support. What I realized at the time was that in order for me to provide for our 4 children, I had to be very strategic about increasing my average sale price. There weren't more hours in the day that I could work, right? I quickly reached a high ceiling of achievement working 120 plus whatever hours a week, right? These were the times when we'd show vacant houses and crawl through the dog door because we couldn't get in. Crawl through. You guys have all been there. If we've been there long enough in this business, you know that you do whatever it takes to get somebody into a house at any hour of the day, no matter what, right? So, but I knew that in order for me to succeed, I didn't understand how to hire people, how to coach anybody, how to train anybody, how to leverage. I didn't understand. The MREA, I had no clue what that was about. It was all about what could I do on a daily basis to succeed in close transactions. And so I grinded, and I grinded, and I grinded, and I grinded, and I grinded. Well, within the first 24 months in the business, I realized that I had to leverage. I was already leveraging by going to my title company and producing flyers on their copy machine for free that I would hang on apartment doors looking for people that wanted to buy houses. And I would hire kids in the neighborhood to help me post these flyers in apartments, right? So I kind of understood a little bit that door knocking would get me so far, cold calling and prospecting would get me so far, but direct mail and farming was really sort of the direction I felt like I needed to go. I felt like if my activities and the efforts of what I was doing had a compound effect to them, in other words, if I was contacting the same people consistently over and over and over and over and over and over again, at some point, those people are going to be in a place where they need to make a decision to buy or sell. Rather than always looking for new areas of opportunity and new areas of business, I wanted to be really specific. I wanted to really target a market, and I really wanted to geographically farm and leverage my time. Long story short, within about 3.5 years, I increased my farm from 200 doors to 500 doors to 4,000 doors. So I started my career, really started super farming at 4,000 doors. I'm going to use this. You may not all get to see it. I don't know what we have up next, but we can go through the slides too. So I picked this 4,000 door geographical farm. And I said, here's the reality of it is, I'm going to dominate that space. I'm going to dominate that market. And if you listen to Gary and the way that he talks, expansion doesn't happen, and expansion, even hiring an assistant, or hiring a buyer's agent, or hiring another showing agent, or hiring a listing coordinator, doesn't happen until you have an overflow of leads, an overflow of business, an abundance of business, because you're bringing somebody into your world, and you've got to be able to provide them with opportunities. And if you don't have a consistent flow of opportunities, there's no reason for you to bring other people in the world. But if you can't lead generate at a high level, You're going to bring people into your world hoping that they're going to lead generate at a high level for you or for themselves, and you're not mastering that skill, then you really can't, it's really complicated. So where do you want to go here?
We can go wherever you want. We have marketing, if you want to talk about
go on to this?
Go to marketing.
Okay, so I spent the next 20 years farming 4,000 doors. And to the tune of about $20 million a year in business out of the farm and about $20 million in business outside the farm. And I started it off with an 8x8 campaign, and then I consistently stayed probably 3 to 4 times a month in front of the community. I was sponsoring the pumpkin patch, I was sponsoring the hay rides, I was sponsoring the holiday events. I was very, very active in the community. It really meant a lot to me. And I did this for 20 years. And as Gary says, this is sort of kind of what our businesses look like until we hit some kind of a ceiling of achievement, right? Something happens where we grow and the light bulb goes off. But I was really fortunate to have a tremendous career for 20 years, doing $40 million a year in production. I didn't have a life. I didn't know my kids. I was an abandoned father. I was never around. I attended every dance recital, every soccer game. But man, when that whistle blew, I was off the field and I was showing houses or I was running to that open house. And that's the way, and most of you can relate to that. I felt like, well, I was there. I was didn't you see me at the dance recital? You saw me. I waved to you. I was gone the minute you got off the stage, but because I had to go sit open houses or show property and work with buyers and work with sellers, and I really didn't have much of a life. I didn't really have much of a leverage. So one of the things that we talked about, right, you saw this earlier, is this triangle, and on the bottom is what? Leads, right? Is leads. Well, until you master leads, there's not much else that you need to be focused on. If you're not creating consistent opportunities in your business, then nothing else matters, right? You have to create consistent opportunities. For me, taking a 4,000 door farm and treating it like a Mets database allowed me to penetrate that market at a high level, right? At the height, in the last 20 years, my highest year in market share in that farm was 17%. 17% is an extremely strong market share, right? The goal for everybody, for all of us in our farms, should be to hit a 10% market share. At 10%, you're number one. There's people that might get to 17%, it's pretty rare, 15, really rare. I can assure you that at 10% market share, you're dominating the market, totally dominating it. But I didn't have anything change in my life. I just stayed right here farming 4,000 doors until I took ESO. And
Andrew, can I ask a question?
yes.
How do you go from a 0 to 17% farm and still have balance and have a life?
Well, I really didn't have a lot of balance or life, but
Just being honest.
So I'm going to share a lot of things about what I do today, you guys, because now I farm 200,000 doors a month, right? Direct mail, 200,000 doors a month. Some of those doors are getting hit 10 times a month with my collateral. Some of them, 125,000 of them, get hit once a month. I have all my collateral up here for you guys to see. But I'm building a moat around the Phoenix market, right? I'm branding myself at such a high level. I have #1 market share in Maricopa County. I have #1 market share in Scottsdale. I have #1 market share in 6 zip codes. And it really all, for me, started when I took ESO as a RE/MAX agent 4 years ago. I took ESO, and like every single person in this room, I can assure you guys, because you're in this room, you're doing the right things. You know exactly what the activities and the behaviors and the habits are that you have to succeed at a high level, right? Now, we get a little complacent. We've been in the business a long time. We're no longer performing those activities at a high level. We're waiting for the phone to ring. We're not being very proactive. We're just stuck. And we're stuck at this ceiling. And we can't get past the ceiling. And most of us aren't growing exponentially. And it's really overwhelming and it's really frustrating. And some of it is, I think, because we think that in order for us to grow, we have to work that much harder. The truth is, you have to grow that much more so you can help other people grow in your life, right? So that's what has to happen. So what happened for me was, I walked out of ESO and I said, holy cow, I'm doing all the things right. All the activities, I'm working my open houses, I'm working my expires, I'm working my cancels, I'm working my FISBOs, I'm door knocking, I'm working my sphere of influence, I'm doing all these things right. I'm just not thinking big enough. I am thinking way too small. And with the tools that I took out of ESO as a RE/MAX agent, I had the confidence to reinvest more money in my business and reduce my net income, right? Reduce my net income to grow, right? I'm willing to invest in my business, in my practice, reduce my net income so I could grow. So I walked out of ESO and I immediately expanded my farm to 16,000 doors. Immediately. And then the next day.
Can I pause you, because you talked to us at dinner?
Yeah.
Can we go details from 4K to 16K? What did you add? How much spend did you add? Did you add more team members? What was your mindset?
Sure.
From that jump?
My mindset was that I was dominating this space, and the additional 12,000 doors had eyeballs on what I was doing in the 4,000 doors. In other words, I had some brand awareness in these 16,000 doors weren't in another city. They weren't in another state. It wasn't exactly the expansion model that we see in Keller Williams, right? That we're seeing in expansion. That's not exactly what it was. I was like, okay, here's my 4,000 doors. This is the math, real quickly, this is the math behind farming, really quick. And then I'll come back to that. So if I'm farming 4,000 doors, and people move every 10 years, right? You kind of heard that number earlier, right? We heard 8 to 10 years. Let's use 10 years. Because if we use 10 years, we're going to be overly conservative with our numbers, right? Does that make sense? So we say, okay, well, there's going to be 400 transactions a year out of 4,000 doors. And if I've got 10% market share, I'm going to do 40 deals. And at the time, the average sell price was about $400,000. So I knew that my average commission for easy math was 10 grand. Does that make sense? Well, we all know it's 12, but let's just use easy math. So I knew that farming 4,000 doors, being the mayor of that community, treating it the same way that I was treating these communities in low-income housing. I was door knocking, asking people what they needed. That's what I was doing as a social worker. It's the same thing you guys do. It's a needs assessment at the door. How are you? I just wanted you to know I listened to your neighbor's house. I'm really excited. It's going to be coming on the market next week. I'd love to tell you about the price that we're going to present it at, but we haven't selected the price yet. Is there a good email I can call you as soon as we get the listing live? Right? I mean, it's just coming from contribution, right? Really coming from contribution. And then how do we teach and attract people onto our team to do the things that we do? How do we clone ourselves? Right? I spent 20 years at RE/MAX trying to figure out a way to clone myself, and it was frustrating. So part of my growth, I took ESO as a RE/MAX agent. Then I flew to Baltimore, and I took Career Visioning 30, 60, 90 through Seth Campbell. Then I flew to Washington, Bellingham, and took Career Visioning 30, 60, 90 with Ben Kenny. And then I took Bold. And then I took all as a RE/MAX agent. And my business, my first year after taking ESO, I took my business from 40 million to 72 million, right? The next year, I took my business to 158 million, right? Still as a RE/MAX agent. But my team started to get into a little bit of rhythm, right? I had 6 people on my team 2 years ago when I moved from RE/MAX to KW. But I felt like I was learning all these things, alphabet soup, right? The KW alphabet soup. I was learning all these acronyms, and I'm coming back to my team trying to implement it, and they're looking at me like deer in the headlights. What is all this stuff? What does this stuff mean, right? So eventually I knew I had to make the move over to KW because I was living the life of a wolf in sheep's clothing, and it was uncomfortable. And I wanted to be at KW, but I loved being a balloon head, so it was tough. So in the math on this, in order to, when you're going to see see what I'm doing right now, marketing the 200,000 doors. You're gonna see my costs. I actually should send you my P&Ls. All my collateral, everything I'm gonna share with you has been emailed over to Shelby and Tony to share with you guys, so you guys will have everything. But I'm gonna go as quickly as I can. Yes?
I'm sorry, are you farming to just homeowners or just everybody?
Just homeowners.
Just homeowners.
All the highest economic households only.
Can you define that? What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm not sending it to poor people.
All right, percentiles,
Yeah.
top quarter, top 25%, top 50%.
Yeah, it's the highest socioeconomic in the zip codes and the carrier routes. And I've got that all broken down. Speaking is really new to me, right? I've never had to get in front of people and teach this. So now I'm building out a presentation so that you can see a heat map of who I target, how often I target them, what my cost per door is. I've got some of it on an Excel to show you guys, but it works.
Okay, can I ask, so you're saying that in that, if there's 10,000 homes, you might be only marketing to 6,000 in that 10,000 grid?
I might be.
Okay.
I might
So
be,
that's your
because
highest
some of the
business
pieces I
side.
do require full saturation in zip codes,
Okay,
right?
Okay.
And some of the pieces are very targeted.
okay.
And when you see what I'm doing and my costs and how I do it, which is the same thing you can do in your markets, it's phenomenal. I'm hitting 555,000 doors a month with some kind of collateral, right? Now there's a lot of repeat doors that I'm hitting, but it's 555,000 doors a month, and my cost per impression each door is 7.6 cents each. And it cost me $43,000 to do it. But we'll go through all those numbers, and all that's big math. Let's keep it really simple. Because every one of you can completely change your destiny and what you're doing in 2020 by really embracing some of these things. It's really, I talked to a few people in the room, and they're like, yeah, I farm 1,200 doors. Well, that's 12 transactions a year. What are you going to do the rest of the year? They're like, well, how do you know it's 12 transactions a year? Well, it's simple. Because if you're farming 1,200 doors, there's going to be 120 transactions, and you're going to get 10% market share. You're going to do 12 deals, right? Maybe that's one a month. It's not bad. It's not bad. But let's take a look at it. You should be spending about $1 a door a month. Now my cost is now way below that because I've got economies of scale. But $1 a door a month is about right. If you're going to send 2 postcards and be involved in the community newsletter, and you're going to do some digital overlapping, and you're going to create community events, you might do a postcard that gets sponsored by a restaurant and a dentist, you can bring your costs down. I have some of that I do, and I'll share it with you. But $1 a door a month is a really good budget. You sort of can create a lot of momentum and market share at $1 a door a month. There's things that you can do to really, 2 postcards a month and a newsletter, $1 a door a month. Your newsletter would have to be partially sponsored by a landscaper and a pool guy. You have to put some work into it to keep your costs at $1 a door a month. But $1 a door a month is about what you should be spending on a geographical farm, right? That doesn't include door knocking in the neighborhood, running an ad in the community newsletter, or the community newspaper, those kinds of things, but $1 a door a month. So I knew this going into it, that it was going to be about $1 a door a month. So and this isn't a farming class. If you want a farming class, go see Kenny Klaus. I can teach it blindfolded, but Kenny does a good job because he's got a curriculum for it. I'm just winging it up here to show you guys what to do. But I can wing it all day. So, at $1 a door a month, I'm spending $4,000 a month, right? Right? To close 40 transactions and make $400,000. So my cost is 10%, right? My marketing cost is 10% of my desired GCI, right? One of the things that we're so fortunate about in this business is we get to choose who we want to work with and where we want to work. We really do, right? Like, it's one of the reasons why expansion's big at Keller Williams is people that have mastered selling $800,000, $200,000 houses a year, they want to move to different markets and increase their average sell price. But we have the ability within our business to do that. There's 2 things that we need to talk about today. One is, how do you increase your average sell price? And 2, if you love your average sell price at $2 million, how do you increase your volume and number of transactions? So you guys understand, I'm the #1 real estate agent in Scottsdale in a market that's saturated with Sotheby's agents. completely saturated with Sotheby's agents. That is a huge benefit to me. One, they don't go into the conversation with reduced commission breath, right? They're not walking in those doors taking listings at 4.5% or 4%, a $1,200 flat fee, right? So they're not really having, so that for me, if that's my competitor in the space that I'm in, right? I choose to be in the non-conforming real estate market. I'm not going to work in Phoenix in the conforming real estate market. I'm not competing with the iBuyer. I'm not competing with OpenDoor and OfferPad and Zillow. I sit down with the seller and I say, listen, times have changed. We're in the fourth industrial revolution in real estate. You as a homeowner have a lot of options. Some of those options are the same options you've had for 100 years. You could go for sell by owner, right? And that's an option for you on your $2 or $3 million house, but you're busy. And you don't have the resources and the marketing and the network, and so I appreciate you having me here. But you still have a lot of options, right? We have a lot of choices on what kind of a real estate experience do you want to have as a seller, and what are you willing to pay for that experience, right? And are you willing to pay for that experience on the back end, or do you want to pay for it on the front end? Because truthfully, if you want to write me a check tonight, I'll do the deal a lot less money. If you're going to pay me on the back end for work performed, you're going to pay me a fair amount of commission. Right? Nobody wants to write a check on the front end, right? So there's no obligation financially to them on the front end. We don't have a buyer. We don't have a buyer's agent. There's only two of us sitting at the table tonight, and we're talking about your net. We don't even have a buyer. Why don't we hold off on that conversation until we have an offer on the table, and then if we need to roll up our sleeves and get everybody involved financially to bridge the gap and make the deal work, then we can have that conversation. But it seems a little premature for us to be talking about what your net's going to be right now. We can have some ballpark conversations. But I really feel more comfortable, Mr. Seller, if we offered a 3% co-broke to the buyer's agent. You can offer 1 or 2. That's your choice. You're the seller. You can pay them whatever you want. But in our market, if we're not offering 3, they're going to come in with a negative attitude. They're going to be much more inclined to try to sell your neighbor's house than to sell your house. So we already know that 3% we're going to be offering. Does that mean we're not going to take another stab at them if we have an offer that's totally unacceptable? We're trying to bridge the gap, and I got a kick and a half a point, they got a kick and a half a point, and now you're doing the deal at 5 instead of 6. You know, so just sign here and let me go to work for you right now to find the right buyer. I mean, we can have all of these conversations, but you guys are all experts in that. But it came up about commissions, and I've got about 1 million commission injection handling techniques as memorized and we can talk about. That's one of my favorites, right? This is not really the right time for us to figure out exactly what you're going to put in your pocket. We can get close, we're not going to get exact. So at $1 a door a month, right? You have to prime the pump. You can't go into geographical farming lackadaisical. There's a reason why the 8x8 campaign is in existence, right? And there's a reason why the 36 touch campaign with your Mets database is in existence. Conversion rates, there's so many reasons why the path is in the math, right? We all understand and agree that the path is in the math. Seth Campbell taught me that when we run our businesses according to the model, it's a mathematical checkmate. It's financially impossible to fail if you are following the models and systems, unless you're making some really disastrous decisions in your business. But if you've got your head up and you're paying attention, you're not going to make disasters. And listen, the reality of it is, all of us are off course. We're off course in our weight, we're off course in our marriages, we're off course in our life, we're off course in our businesses, but we better not be very off course. Right? One of the greatest things I heard recently was this: when we put Neil Armstrong on the moon, right, the space shuttle was off course 97% of the time. But boy, it wasn't off course by a lot. It wasn't. The deviation from point A to point B wasn't very far, but 97% of the time it wasn't accurate, but he still landed on the moon. We can't afford to run our businesses out of culture. We can't allow creativity to run our businesses until we've mastered the models. These are the things I've learned in my 4 years in Keller Williams. 2 years in what I call executive leadership training, right? The leverage series, expansion, pouring into myself, learning how to be better, understanding the models, understanding how to leverage, understanding how to implement, and now 2 years in practicality in doing it and seeing my numbers, right? I mean, I'm number 9 in the world right now for Keller. I was number 5 last month, year to date, or 2 months ago. But when I'm hanging around with Ben Kenny and Sarah Reynolds and Lance Smokin, and I mean, are you kidding me? The conversations that we have in these rooms and that what we share and what we talk about, our Facebook, Gary Keller's private Facebook group. How many people are in it? In the room? Okay. Is it the most outstanding place to be?
Amazing.
Amazing. My hope for all of you guys is to get into that room. Get into that, because it's the best practices of the best agents in the entire country. And so the growth that we have, what we experience, how we share, what we do, it's overwhelming, it's unbelievable. And it's exciting and it's inspiring and it's enthusiastic to be able to take control of your business and go, you know what? I have an exit strategy. It's success through other people. I'm a rainmaker. I've mastered lead generation in a deep level. This is not, see, expansion teams suffer and fail primarily because their lead levers are shallow. They don't have the money or the time to invest in long-term, deep relationships in a database that they're unfamiliar with, right? One of the things, I think it was Tony that mentioned to me, is, wow, Andrew, you treat your not Mets database like a Mets database. They know me in the community. I'm the mayor of Scottsdale. Everybody knows who I am. They know what I do. They see my signs everywhere. Yet, Sotheby's has almost 30% market share in the luxury space. But my business, I outperform the top 4 Sotheby's agents collectively. I outperform them, right? And they hate me. The benefit that I have is they hate each other worse. And it's a true story. I shared this last night without getting too politically sensitive. In Scottsdale, I feel like I'm Israel. I'm this little sliver of Keller Williams Luxury. I'm the only Keller Williams Luxury agent in Scottsdale that has any sign of life. Surrounded by all these blue signs that I call the Arab world. And they hate each other. There's no collaboration. Tony Gonzalez is the designated broker at Sotheby's, and you know what he says? You can't co-list listings with other agents in your office. They almost have a rule against working together because he says they don't have a divorce clause. They have no policies and procedures. They don't have ICAs between each other. Right? I've got my ICA here for you guys. It's been emailed. You'll have it. You'll see my structure. My organizational structure is phenomenal. I went to career visioning in Bellingham, Washington, and sat at the table next to Sarah Reynolds, and our homework assignment that night was to draw our org chart. I was shaking in my legs. I was scared to death. I had no idea how to do my org chart. I didn't know what that meant. I was just totally lost. Like my org chart, like I got a transaction coordinator, and then it was like, and Ben's like, well, draw your org chart the way you want to see it a year from now. Draw your org chart the way you want to see it 5 years from now. So Sarah Reynolds says, Andrew, why don't you take a picture of my org chart? You can work off that. And I took a picture of her org chart. I went back to my hotel room. I started drawing my organizational chart. And I just sobbed. I just cried. It was so emotional. It was so transformational for me to look at how I needed to grow as a leader in order to have these other people in my life that I was impacting and that I can help them achieve their goals. If my goal is up here, right? My goal is 20 million in GCI. I can't do that by myself. It takes a village, so how do I structure my business to be able to provide a life of abundance for them and the people around me? And I want to be able to share all that with you guys and show you how I run it, and show you how it works. All right, where are we at? What do you want to see?
This is team structure.
Oh, this is team structure. Okay, this is just kind of my idea, right?
You're onboarding there.
Oh yeah, so we've gotten organized. What a great feeling to have your business organized. You know, how many of you have an org chart? All right, a show of hands. Okay, so half the room. And how many of you have an ICA agreement for your team?
We don't know what that is.
Independent contractor.
Oh,
An independent contractor agreement.
Yeah.
with your team, right? That spells everything out, about 10% of the room.
Well, I'll just add that in California, because of the Dynamics case a year and a half ago, all my people are employees, so they're not independent contractors.
Sure.
Just to be clear, like, so that people may have employee agreements as opposed to independent contractors.
Yeah, and employees is fine too. You've just got to be really careful with who's salaried, who's not salaried, and how you're structured. How I went from, when I walked out of ESO, and I went from 4,000 doors to 16,000 doors, I said to myself, well, I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to direct mail now to 16,000 doors, so I'm going to make that commitment. I know what it's going to cost me. And I'm going to launch an ISA department. And it just so happened that my son at the time, he's 25, he was 21. He said, Dad, can I work for you over the summertime? I said, no way, absolutely not. I'd kill you. And I said, but if you could get 5 or 6 friends together, I'll lead the whole pack. I'll teach all of you guys about the business. And it was just all happening at the same time. So they came in, we dumped in $1 billion of off-market inventory that hadn't sold in the last few years, expireds and cancels. And I just put these kids to work on the phone, scheduling and making appointments. And my listing inventory went from like 30 active listings to 80 active listings. So there was real explosive growth. But anyway, within 90 days, I started seeing opportunities in the 16,000 doors faster than I expected. It wasn't like a rocket ship. The wheels weren't off the ground, but the phone was ringing and I was getting opportunities in those 16,000 doors. And I said to myself, you know, my listing inventory is going up and I can't manage and do this on my own. There is no way that I'm going to be able to support the business with a short bench. I have to deepen my bench and I got to figure out how to do that. At the same time, 90 days later, I decided to take the belief that I had and the systems that I had and the things that I was doing correctly, and I went to 32,000 doors. And within 90 days, I just started seeing little opportunities in those 32,000 doors, and I thought, man, you know what? This consistency thing really, really works at a high level. Now I'm stuck down here in this like 10 to 12% market share, right? And then I'm over here and I'm sort of just creeping into a 1 to 2% market share. And then eventually over here a 1 to 2% market share. But now my market share in here is going to 3 to 4%. And now my market share over here is going to 3 to 4%, and this is turning into 5 to 6%. And I said, okay, that's working. Now I'm going to go to 45,000 doors. So I started going to 45,000 doors. And I started seeing opportunities within those 45,000 doors. And then I was seeing more and more opportunities within this target. And I'm like, this is really, really cool. And every single thing that I sent to those 45,000 doors hit the 32,000 doors, hit the 16,000 doors, and hit the 4,000 doors. I'm like, this is really awesome. I'm going to expand out, and I'm going to go, so in about 15, 18 months, I went to 75,000 doors. And it's all over here what I deliver. I mean, it's really, really cool stuff. So I started going to 75,000 doors, and I started seeing this happen. And my business started going like this, like ridiculous, like this. And all of a sudden, one of the notes that I took down here was attracting talent. The best way to attract talent is through production. People will come to you. When they see your signs, and they see your marketing, and they see your face, and they see your name, and you're contributing in the community, and you're dominating the market, and you're listing, and you're listing, and you're selling, and you're listing, people will come to you and they'll flock to you. I wanted to address that. So I wanted to talk about that talent. The other thing that I think is really, really important, and I hope you guys appreciate this or agree with me, people don't want to do business with people they know. People want to do business with people they trust. There's a big difference. Everybody knows a real estate agent in your market. Everybody has a neighbor. Everybody has a friend. Everybody's got somebody they know that's got a real estate license that's willing to do it for less money. These people don't want to work with them. Who do they want to work with? The expert, the authority, the person contributing in the community, the people that stand out, recognizable. Right? Start to understand this a little bit, right? That people don't want to do business with want to do business with people they trust. When I walk into somebody's living room, they trust me already. Why? I wrote this down. Somebody said it, social proof. It's social proof. My marketing, we're gonna go through some of my marketing. It's exquisite. It's beautiful. I've not seen marketing as nice as mine in almost anywhere that I look. But it's intentional. I restructured my font, my designs, my layouts, my photography, because I was focused on improving and increasing my average sell price. Right? I had to continue to increase my average sell price. My average sell price is $1 million. And I'm in Phoenix. Now I happen to be in Scottsdale, but that's a high average sell price. In fact, in Gary's group, in the top 100, I think I'm number 1 or number 2 in average sell price. Number 1 or 2 in average sell price in all of Gary's group. You know, Sue Adler's up there as well. But we're up there. And that's important. It's important for you to look at your brand and your reputation and what that's doing.
Hey, Andrew, do you include any community stuff in your marketing, or is it mostly property things?
No. Read the community. We'll go through a little bit of it. I'm going to bounce around a little bit, you guys. But here's a sample of one of my magazine ads. This is probably an early generation. I now require that 25, and you'll see as we flip through this, and it's all in these magazines, 25% of my ads have to have just sold or an in escrow. That's the call to action. That's what's driving people to call me. When the homeowner looks at a magazine, so can you make this smaller? When a seller looks at a magazine, and they see just sold under contract, 25% of my ad space has to have a just sold or an escrow. Because if your house is sitting on the market and it's not sold, you don't want to look at a full page of other houses for sale. Right? That's annoying. You're like, oh my God, more. That's just a glut of inventory. That's what the seller sees. But when they look at my ad, what stands out to that seller? Not the ones that are for sale, the ones that are moving. Right? There's tempo. We have 35 pages a month of print collateral that goes out. 35 pages a month. Every one of these pages has a deadline, which means we have a responsibility every day to be conscientious about who we're representing, where we're marketing their home, what it's going to look like. You can keep thumbing through these. There's another full page ad, what it looks like. Now, I've completely pimped out my family, totally pimped them out. My son's in the business, he runs our technology, but I put him in our ads. My wife's the director of marketing, she's not licensed, but I put her on the ads, right? We want to be grassroots, we want to be family-based. This is what it looks like. We have a little tagline, the sign of a good market, that's who we are, what we do. You keep going, flip through some of these are cool. These postcards go to 40,000 doors a month. They're awesome, you guys. I mean, these are beautiful, really nice postcards. 15.9 cents printed and mailed. You can't, Darren, how many times do we fight and argue about this online?
A lot.
And I fight with the whole group in Gary's group, don't I? The whole group. They're all
Still
telling
can't
me.
quite figure it out.
They're all fighting with me. 15.9 cents. It's 10,000 doors minimum. And it goes through Clipper. And that's what you got to do. But if you're doing it for half price, right, why do you think he took his farm from 1,000 doors to 10,000?
What's a clipper?
Clipper is Red Plum. So they also do my House to Home magazine. So I'll show you a few of these things, but there's so much to tell you because I want to get into my team structure. How do I structure my team compensation? What does that look like, and how am I profitable and have a big team? I want to show you that. This goes to 207,000 doors a month. This magazine, 207,000 doors a month. A lot of those has the back, and here's what I have. You ready? So I've got everything I have is premium. I have page 3, full page. I love it. And then you come in through the magazine. It's kind of a corny little home improvement magazine, but who reads these? Potential sellers, right? Potential sellers. Here's a full page ad that I ran. So I call this jab, jab, bam. I'm all about marketing is a rhythm. It's a dance. It's a cadence to what you're doing in your business, right? It gets you going. And everybody in the market, every seller, every homeowner, every real estate agent, this is important, right? What do you want to do when you're saturating the market with marketing? What do other real estate agents do? They withdraw. They're not going to compete. They don't want to spend the money. They're not going to come in to a heavyweight fight with a, with an 80-pound marketing budget. So then I have this full page. Then I run 2 full pages on golf communities. I'm the #1 agent in golf communities. I dominate it. And then I run the inside back cover, right? So this magazine at 200,000 doors, that's on my spreadsheet. This cost me 5 cents a door, right? Printed and mailed, 5 pages. So I have a tremendous amount of content in the publication at a nickel a door. Then the magazine came to me and I said, can I do an insert? They said, sure, you can do an insert. I said, okay, I want to do an insert. So this goes in here, not stapled, just goes in here and gets mailed with the magazine to 50,000 doors. This thing right here cost me 15 cents, total price, printed, mailed, and stuffed and delivered and all. I don't have to deal with it. The other thing about marketing and farming is that one of the highest degrees of leverage you can have in your business, because it doesn't require a tremendous amount of staff to be able to execute at a high level. Now, my wife does it full time. I mean, when I say we're everywhere, so Images Magazine goes to 16,000 doors, I run the back page. Here's a North Scottsdale Magazine, goes to 19,000 doors, I run page 3. Scottsdale Progress goes to 45,000 doors a week. I have the front banner with my little name and logo on it. Then I run a full page on page 3. I have the back page, which I love, which is great, right? I have the back page. This cost me 3 cents a door for 3 pages at 45,000 doors, right? Then I run Scottsdale Independent. I run my whole team on the back of the Scottsdale Independent. This is once a month to 75,000 doors, right? My team loves it. They love it because I'm showing them love, and they love being loved. So that's it. I also run my little banner on the front. I run inside, page 2, full page. It's awesome. And then in here, I happen to run another 3 pages. And I'll tell you what, if you guys know Walt Danley, he's been the #1 luxury agent in our market for 30 years. Last year I beat him. And it was pretty awesome. So let's go. He runs his ads. So in here, wait till you guys see this stuff. Here's a full page ad that I run in that. There's another full page ad that I run in that. And let me tell you guys, in my market, our houses don't sell overnight. So this marketing allows me to maintain a high level of relationship with my sellers. It's tangible. It's sticky. It's in their mailboxes. Their friends call them every day and say, oh my God, I saw your house in the magazine that I just got my house. I saw it at my doctor's office the other day. When I'll tell you the Bold story. 3 years ago, I took Bold as a RE/MAX agent, and I went back to my office that night, and I started dialing, and I got a hold of an expired $3 million listing, and she said, I'm really sorry, but we decided to rent our house. My husband's meeting with a property manager tomorrow. I said, listen, is there any way I can meet him there? I'd just like to talk to him about what my team can do a lot differently for you, and if it rents, but if we could sell it, we could sell it. She said, well, I'll talk to him and see if he's interested. So I show up at his house with 4 other people from my team. We're going to talk about this a lot. I don't know how much time we're going to have.
Go into that next.
They're going to throw me off the stage, but I show up at his house, and it's Jared Allen, played for the Minnesota Vikings. I get the listing, $3 million, sold it on an open house in 30 days. Last year he called me and said, Andrew, we're moving to Nashville. Can you sell my $10.5 million house? I said yes. I double-ended it on an open house, 6.1% commission. Jeff Metzger, who owned KB Homes, was the buyer. Walked into my open house at $10.5 million and wrote a check. Right then and there, closed the deal. It was fabulous. My team does about 50 open houses every week. 50 open houses a week. There's rhythm, there's hustle, there's cadence, there's accountability, there's excitement. It is, the pace of the leader is the pace of the pack. Right? You guys all get that? Like if you're sitting around looking at your businesses like, oh, 2020, that's my business plan, and what am I going to do? I'll tell you, you have control over your attitude and your behavior and the energy that you put out there and who you manifest and bring into your life and bring into your world. And if you think doing the old things day in and day out are going to get you a different result, we all know that's not true.
Yeah.
So you gotta really dig deep down inside and go, what is it in my life that I can do that's gonna bring about positive change in 2020? How am I gonna control my life differently? What is that gonna look like? How do I invest in the education? I'll tell you, my only disappointment in my real estate career is not coming to Keller Williams sooner. And I bet everybody in this room shares the same feeling. The resources, the people, the technology, the tools, we're not even getting into technology. I run an analog business. You guys right understand that, right? This is an analog business. It's analog, it's old school, but it's deep. It's deep. I walk in, I don't care what listing you're gonna go see in Scottsdale. You walk into any house in Scottsdale, and my publication is sitting on their coffee table. Any listing, any house. I'm out showing buyers, and I walk in and I'll see this magazine on the coffee table, and I'll be like, oh, there's my ad. Oh, there I am again, right in the front. I mean, it's just everywhere. It's all over the place. You can't go anywhere in Scottsdale and not see me. It's intentional. It's on purpose. But there's a mathematical formula to it. It's not frivolous spending, right? It's not, I know what my numbers are. I know where I'm at. I know what I'm doing. I also know that in the 200,000 doors that I'm farming here with House to Home, now I just closed 200,000 doors. I just closed a $1.8 million deal out of that 125,000 door gap, right? So I want you guys to understand that between here and here is 125,000 doors. These 125,000 doors only get hit with me once a month on that House to Home magazine. Does that make sense? Now I've taken 50,000 of those and I've done that inserted 15 cents a door. But they only get hit once a month. That's sort of the math in the NotMeds database in the MREA, isn't it? 12 times a year in the NotMeds database, right? Well, these people are treating them as my NotMeds. Eventually, as my revenue increases and I'm bleeding with profit, I will double down and triple down those efforts so that but I'm salting the board. I'm in their head. And not only am I hitting them once a month, but I'm hitting them with 5 pages of content, right? You guys understand that? Like it's at 5 cents. So the 125,000 doors here at 5 cents a piece is costing me $6,000 a month to hit 125,000 doors once a month with a 5-page magazine that I'm in. 5 pages I have, right? And then my cost would be 75,000 doors. That costs me about another 3 cents, right? So I'm at 3 cents, and 5 cents is 8 cents, roughly. Does this make sense a little bit? You start expanding out slowly from where you're at. If you're farming 1,000 doors, go farm 10,000. If you're farming 5,000 doors, go farm 10,000. Because once you start getting into certain price points, your leverage and your marketing dollars go a lot further, right? Okay, so this was my Team Advance 2020 last week. I hired a new director of technology who's a labs coach.
Advisor.
He's a labs advisor. You know Travis?
Very well.
Okay, so Travis saw me on stage at MegaCamp, and he called me and said, Andrew, I live in Phoenix, and I want to work for your organization. I'm like, well, okay, I'm not sure what the role would be, but I hired the guy, and the first day he was introduced to my team was at the Team Advance. So this was just the first slide. And Travis didn't know I was doing that, that's Travis Lang, so he's now running my technology. Again, I'm analog business, and I'm a lot like you guys. Technology is not my bailiwick. But as we start bringing technology into this, imagine what's going to happen to my business, right? As we start really communicating with these people in a digital one of the things I love about print is we are repurposing everything we do digitally. It's on our Instagram, it's on our Facebook, it's all over social media, it's everywhere. All of what we do in print starts off digitally, right? I get a proof of every single ad. Well, I get to take that proof and post it. Post it on Facebook, post it in Twitter, post it in LinkedIn, post it here, post it there, right? So we've got some of that going on, and we're repurposing our content. So when my team came in, we all do these intention sticks. It's a beautiful thing. the Tree of Life movement, and it's a gift that I give my whole team every year, and the new members come up, and we do have this little ceremony, and it's really beautiful, and I give them this as a gift. Okay, the next page. So then, this is part of our team advance. Twice a month, my entire team gets on a bus that's chartered, that we charter, and we go tour all of our new listings. We tour our new listings, our coming soons, and listings that we're competing to get. So if we're competing on a $3 million listing, we'll tell the seller, look, would it be okay next week if we brought the team through? We'd love to get their opinion of your house. Sure, you can bring the team through. We show up with the bus, we show up with 40 people, we walk through the house, we record it, Facebook Live, and send the link to the seller. Right? That's twice a month. We have team culture at a really, really high level because that's important to me. Right? I'm an agent. One of the reasons I love Keller Williams is because Gary will remind you every day that he's a real estate agent. Right? To really understand what we do and who we are, you have to spend some time in the trenches. So, our 2020 word is values. I am currently in the leadership class for Quantum Leap. Has anybody taken the leadership class for Quantum Leap? Or Quantum Leap at all? So, a few of you guys. So, what I heard people say earlier today is, what's my big why? Well, first of all, values are not, when we're talking about values in Quantum Leap, we're not talking about your morals. We're not talking about your integrity. Right? That's just the price of admission. Right? If you don't have integrity and you don't have morals, you're not showing up. That's just never going to happen in this business. Value is about who you really are, like what burns you deep down inside. It's typically an experience from your childhood or a major life event or something that occurred that really causes you and forces you into a place of being really uncomfortable or being really comfortable. For me, what I discovered going through Quantum Leap is that my number one core value is efficiency, because I grew up with inefficiency. And then I came into a real estate career where inefficiency was kind of the way that it was. And so I have always pushed myself to create efficiency around my real estate business. And really getting in, really peeling the onion back about what it is that really makes your stomach really hurt, like that's really going to drive you to make changes in your life so that 2020 could be your best year ever. So this was part of our team advance photo, and everybody got their necklaces. It was really cool. 2020, all with good intentions. All right, cool, we'll go to the next one. Then I decided, I said, 2018, my team collectively closed about 5% of the business, and I did 95% of the business. I generated about 95% of the business, and the team generated about 5%. And I went into 2019, and I said, I'm teaching them the behavior, and I'm teaching them the activities of what it takes to eat, think, sleep, and behave like a millionaire real estate agent. Right? Those are the words we use on this team. I want everybody on the team to think and believe and eat and sleep and like a millionaire real estate agent. And making contacts with people is not enough. You have to finish the play. You can't just make contact. You've got to tackle, you've got to close, you've got to understand what you're doing in this business in order to make things happen and do something differently. So as the team grew, and I was trying to lead everybody kind of in the same direction, it was so overwhelming for me. I just felt like I didn't have the time to do the one-on-ones. I hired a productivity coach and fired a productivity coach and hired a productivity coach and fired a productivity coach. And we were just out of alignment, out of culture. One of the things that's most important for me is being in culture. 411s, 135s, your GPS. Having those things, that is my non-negotiable. When I hired Travis, I was so excited. Travis called me up, he goes, Andrew, I'm interested in a job on your team. I said, great, send me a 135. The next day he sent me a 135. That's my love language. I'm like, that's efficiency. That's structure. It was like, oh my God, this guy really understands what it is where I'm going. I'm not bringing anybody into my world that's not willing to be in culture. Right? That's not willing to be accountable to what their goals are, or what the mission is. It's not gonna happen. So then I decided, this was completely, totally random. I said, okay, 2020, I'm gonna break the team into pods. Really cool. So I took the team, I broke them into pods. I have 4 little statements up top that I thought were really relevant, really, really cool. And this whole thing is emailed to you guys, so you all have it. But I broke everybody into pods, and that's the way we structured it. And then I went to, everybody on the top are the top pod leaders. Every 90 days, we're rotating pods. I am the one in deciding who goes into what pod and who's going to be the pod leader. And by the end of 12 months, everybody will have a chance to be in a different pod, be a pod leader, and contribute. And I said to them, there's some ground rules. You need to get together as a team. You need to come up with a 135 and a 411. You need to come up with a team with when you're going to do your daily affirmations, how often, who's the accountability going to be with, when you're going to do call night, how are you going to help and plan each other's open houses. I mean, it was just this whole, it was beautiful, and they all responded so well. It was really incredible. And it took so much pressure off of me as feeling like I had to be leading the team. All of a sudden, I had 7 people that were like so excited to have a leadership role on the team that didn't require any compensation. So then we went through values. What are values, right? We went through this stuff, and this was our team advance. This is the PowerPoint from our team advance. And then we went through the value descriptors. Go back to that real quick. So we went to the value descriptors. This is all found in Quantum Leap. And I'm like, dig deep. Find the 5 things that are really, really important to you. Like, this is really critical. And then we went to the next page. What are your top values? What's your personal mission? How do you get into your personal mission? What does that look like? And we went into that. And then we went into value simplification. We went in through that. And getting into that, I had them break up into their new pods. They never heard this was all brand new to them. I'm like, okay, get into groups based on what you see on the board. Groups of 4, groups of 4, groups of 4. They're diving into their values. They're getting to know each other. I was like, oh man, this is going really well. How do you find your 5 key relationships? And what does that look like? You just flip through.
Did you put like-minded or similar like style people in the same pod, or were you purposeful about who was in the pod together?
Height, weight. I was purposeful too a little bit, knowing that I'm going to be mixing it up. I mean, yeah, there was some intention and purpose behind it, but yes, there was thought behind it. Go through the vision map. So my vision is 42 agents. I have 42 agents on my team, each selling 2 houses a month. That's 1,008 transactions a year, right? You guys all follow me. Here's the deal. I tell my team it's real simple. All I want you to do is find 1 seller a month and find 1 buyer a month. First, find your seller. You find a seller, you're going to find a buyer. You close 2 transactions a month, 24 transactions a year, you're going to net 250 grand a year on my team. It's just the math. It's really simple.
Say it one more time. One more time. Say it like, say it 42 on. Just the 42 on. Say that
Write it
like.
down here.
Yeah. It's not,
Oh.
yeah. Say it was really fast. So I'm like, wait.
It's really, really easy. It's really, really easy. Don't overcomplicate any of this.
Okay.
Don't, listen, I am not the sharpest pencil in the box. This isn't rocket science.
Okay.
I have 42 agents, each selling 1 buyer and 1 seller a month. Does that make sense? Times 12 equals 1,008. Okay, that's what I call OSA production. That's my outside sales agents doing business on their own. Okay? On my team, that's on a 50-50 deal. Right? Any buyer, any seller that they work with, whether I generate it or they generate it, not on the listing side, don't get too confused yet. It's 50-50. And we have a step up. We do have a step up group where they can go to 60-40 and 70-30. That's all in here too, and the stuff that you guys are going to get. But this is all on a 50-50. This is their business. This is no different when you look at the pie and you go like this. Where's the business going to come from? And if you're the rainmaker, you're doing these things to help them with their business, and they're doing these things, right? Open houses, expired and canceled, sphere of influence. We can go through that because it's in my presentation. Because I go through the GPS and the 135 with the whole team in there. It's on there somewhere, right?
Andrew,
Yeah.
this is awesome. As I walk around, I think we've got some good questions. Can we open up some questions about?
Yeah, let me go through the listing side real quick.
Okay.
Because this will answer questions for you.
Okay.
I'm a rainmaker. I've mastered lead generation. I've mastered the bottom part of the triangle. Does this make sense? Like, you can't grow until you've mastered the foundation of our business, in my opinion. If people want to be team leaders or rainmakers, but what's the value proposition? Right? The idea behind growing your team and leverage is that you've got an abundance of business because you've mastered that skill. Right? It's predictable. It's predictable. Right? This side, this bottom here, leads, is totally predictable. So I've got that. My phone rings every single day. Every day I get a call, every day, not a day goes by, come list my house for $1 million home, right? Or 2 million, or 3 million, or 4 million, or 5 million, whatever it is. 700,000, 800,000, come list my house. I get that every day. So I created a ladder of mastery in my business. We're just now tweaking it. It's not completely official yet, but I'm going to show you what we've been doing and then show you where it's going. So I created this ladder of mastery. And the ladder of mastery looks like this. This is on the listing side, right? I want these listing ninjas. Now, anybody on my team can work with a buyer or work with a seller. We don't differentiate it, right? So when you're new in the business, you get 5% for helping me with a listing. Okay? This is called OSA 1. And it's in the stuff that you're getting. It's in the material, it's in my ICA, and OSA 1, outside sales agent 1. This could be somebody that's graduating as an ISA with me, and now I'm paying for them to go to real estate school, and they got their real estate license. Or somebody that's coming to the business, they've been in the business for a year, and in the last year they've closed 1 listing and 3 buyer signs. Well, they come in as an OSA 1, but they've got 1 transaction under the belt on the listing side. They only need 4 more. They came in with 1 in the last 12 months. It doesn't matter if they generate that listing or I generate the listing. It counts as the race to 5. Right? But if they generate it, they get 50%. If I generate it, they get 5%. So I'm sorry, what's your name? Jennifer. So you're on my team, and you're bringing me, I say, hey Jennifer, I got a listing appointment tomorrow night at 6, do you want to come? Like, yeah, I'd love to come, that'd be great. So Jennifer comes, and Jennifer's responsibility is to sit there and take notes. Right? We'll ask questions, how old are your air conditioning units, how old are your mechanicals, when do you replace your roof, Jennifer's taking notes. Listen, Jennifer and I are going to be your point of contact. We're going to set you up tonight, Mr. Seller, on a group text message. Anytime there's a showing, Jennifer will be here, or somebody else from my team. We're all going to be here next week. The whole team's coming through. There's 40 of us on the bus. Primarily, you'll be working with Jennifer, but I'm going to be engaged in just about every conversation. And so, sign here, let's go. We walk out the door, and Jennifer's got the file. Now, Jennifer's new. She's closed 1 listing in the last 12 months. She's on my team. She's got a $1 million listing now with her sign writer on it, which allows her to go door knock 5, 5, and 10. Hang the coming soon sign, right? The activities, the behaviors, the patterns of what we do on this team. I mean, we're structured and we're organized, and the idea is now Jennifer is in momentum. She gets to go home and say, honey, oh my God, I just took $1 million listing tonight. She doesn't care that she's only getting 5%. She's helping. She's helping. What she cares about is now she gets to go knock on the neighbor's door, and the neighbor is going to sell in 3 months, is going to give Jennifer the listing, and Jennifer's going to take that listing at 50-50. Does this make sense? Jennifer's going to sit in this open house that's got her name on the sign and pick up buyers at 50-50, and pick up other sellers at 50-50. Right? And she's going to talk to the team about her listing that she's managing and she's working and going through the process. Yes.
Is Jennifer qualified to take that listing, or are you going with her?
No, I'm there. I'm there.
Still going at 50-50.
I'm with her. Now, if I'm not with her, I've got an OSA 3 that's now at 15%, but they were at 20% because we went 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%. But I'll explain that in a minute.
Are you going with her at 50-50? She generates that?
Oh, I'll go with her, or she'll grab an OSA 3. We run a mentor program where our mentors on the team get 5%. So if you take an OSA 3 or higher with you on a listing appointment, that OSA 3 or higher gets 5% to mentor you through the listing.
Okay, I'm gonna move to some questions, because we only have another 15 minutes or so.
Sure.
Questions? Did that section answer the yes, sir?
Wow, first of all. Second of all, the amount of spent for your marketing is extraordinary. I know that I have personally gone broke several times trying to send out that much material in my farm. So what is the secret to your success for the number of touches in order to grow from a small area to a larger area?
Okay, great. Well, first off, you, and Gary talks about this a lot, you have got to dominate your database, right? And so many times we think about the database as the people we've met, right? Instead of treating their not mets, like there's so many more people that don't know who you are than do know who you are. And it just so happens that the majority of my past clients and Mets live within this 200,000 door world of mine. So I'm organically touching them anyway, right? I'm organically doing that. And when I look at my spend per impression, I'm at 7 cents an impression. Most of my stuff runs between 1 and 2 cents per page per door. My postcards are the highest, and they're a third of the cost of any of you can do it for. Right? So when you kind of think about it, you go, hey, listen, if I can do that much more volume and that much more business for less money than my competition can, like way less money, then I've got a trade secret, right?
The extension of that question is, assume that the MRA is 9.2%, right, for the marketing budget, so that 45,000 you had on your mailing, I assume that's about 10% of your monthly revenue. Is that approximately the number?
Yeah, pretty close. So I'm at, let's see, when I submitted my P&L to Gary, I was at 23.6% profit.
But I guess the question I'm talking about on the advertising portion of that,
Yeah.
Are you 15%?
I'm probably about 15%. But you've got to realize, on the outer ring, right, my cost is higher as a percentage because my market share is lower, right? The density within really within about my 75,000 door target is where I've got most market share and most revenue.
But also
Right.
most expenses too. You just have a partial expense in that.
I do, but the ROI is higher.
Yeah, of course.
Did that answer your question? It did? Okay, yes.
You said you were gonna tell us what program you used to pick out which ones were next. You said like maybe you were picking out maybe not of all the 100,000 people you were maybe mailing to so many of them. Was that the Clipper and Red?
Yeah, it's really just based on the economic, the household socioeconomic
So
levels.
how are you finding that? How are you getting, is that just
Well, my
public
title
data?
company does it, Clipper does it for me.
That's-
Clipper's already doing it for me, so
Okay.
they do it.
What's Clipper? Okay, so those two companies you said were part of that.
What's Clipper?
Clipper's a national magazine that does postcards all over the country. So if you want to do these postcards, you can do them. And again, it's 10,000 doors minimum. I do a combination of two different postcards. I do fixed data. Fixed data postcards are these postcards right here. These are 15.9 cents each. And then I also do variable data postcards that have the homeowner's name in there and the property address in there. And those cost me 20.9 cents. So, but I'm very targeted about who those are going to and making sure that I'm really hitting the right doors.
That was hard for us to find. We're using CoreFact over here, that variable
Yeah,
data.
but what are you spending on Core Fact?
I stopped using it. I stopped using, because it was too expensive. It was a good
expensive.
start, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was just, I don't know.
How much is Core Fact?
And it was 75 cents, so we're doing every door direct for 15,000 homes.
Yeah, and what's it costing you?
What's it costing us?
It's
40 cents.
25 cents a door.
Printed and mailed?
Because it's every door direct, so it's kind of like a.
We found the cheapest printer,
Yeah.
which is
So that's
PS Print.
good. So my cost is still 40% less.
Yeah, so yeah, that's why
That's what
we're,
we want to
Still
know what you're
40%
doing.
that's why I'm here, so.
So you sent all these mailers, but do somebody from your team goes and personally knock on the door, or do any follow-up happens besides the mailer?
We do. We do 50 open houses every week. We're door knocking every week. We're circle prospecting all the time. I mean, the team's got rhythm and enthusiasm, and they're in it, and it's, and again, I think it's the pace of the leader is the pace of the pack. If we come in, frustrated and overwhelmed in our businesses, it's hard to get other people enthusiastic.
So would you say just mailers would not really, if I just mail and don't do the following tasks?
Yeah, I think you can obtain 5% market share, 5% just from direct mail, but to get to 10%, you've got to be the mayor of that community. I mean, you're probably more like 3 to 5% if you're passively direct mailing and not contributing in the community in other ways. Any other questions?
And how are you doing it all if you're doing 95% of the business, 5% of the team?
Oh, so let me listen to this. So 2018, I really created 95% of the business. January of 2019, so in 2018, my team did 24 transactions total outside of what I did. January of 2019, they did 24 transactions on their own. Last month, they closed 18 deals for $165,000 in GCI to them and $160,000 in GCI to me. The tides turn. It takes time. It really, really takes time. When I look at my numbers, it's pretty simple. I'll do $6 million in GCI this year. About $3 million of that will pay out to the team in GCI splits, and about $1.5 million in overhead salary and expenses, marketing, overhead salary, and a 1.5 net to me. And I'm not in the rat race anymore. I'm still working. I'm still in production. I go on listing appointments to coach and mentor my team, but I'm not working nights. I hardly work weekends. I'll go around and visit 8 open houses on a Saturday and do Facebook Live videos with my team just to check on them and check standards, inspect what I expect. I'm having more fun. I feel better. And I'm making more money and I'm taking home more money. And I'm in growth mode, which means that my net's lower, which is still not a bad net, but over the next 18 months to 36 months, I'm going to see my revenue increase, and most of my expenses are fairly fixed for the next 3 years. Right? Make sense? Yes.
Couple questions. First, are you doing anything for buyers for your team, or are they just getting them off through open house?
So, we really don't do a lot of buyer lead generation. We were in Commissions Inc. What I found was the agents really didn't have a system and a platform for really following up with those leads appropriately. And so we just moved over to Brivity about 4 months ago with the expectation that we would transition into Command. We're getting into the technology side. So the answer is no. I'm not spending any money in lead generation in a digital platform. Right now, I'm looking forward to it. Travis is going to be a tremendous help for us. He owns a company that does that. That's coming, right? I know where we're going. I know what we're doing. I know how we're getting there. But it's sequential. Growth is sequential. Everything that we do is done with intention. All of us are intentional about what we do, and it's sequential. And so, yeah, when I look at what my goals are, number 3, Keller Williams, $20 million in GCI, adding in the additional lead levers, certainly very important.
Okay. Next one is to marketing again. So you have 207,000 doors that you're hitting a month, but a lot of that seems to be more with magazines, things like that. Can you tell us, for your postcards and your fixed data and variable, how many times a month are you hitting?
40,000.
40,000. And what's your actual cost per month for your marketing?
It's up here. It's $43,405. But it's 555,000 impressions or doors, right? A lot of those doors are getting hit 5 or 6 times a month for me, right? So I'm very, very careful and sensitive about my cost per door, right? If you break that down, I'm spending much less. I'm spending less than $1 a door a month. Way less.
Any more questions?
It's at 7.6 cents an impression.
I think you said your wife's running this part. Is she the one that runs most of this detail on marketing and coaching? You know it like the back of your hand, but does she run it? Do you call it?
We play catch really well together, right? We go to Orange Theory at 5 a.m. she's usually up, so we have 3 VAs in the Philippines. I mean, I didn't go through, I could really honestly feel like we could sit here together for 8 hours and dive much deeper. So I'm sorry we don't have too much time, but I have 3 VAs in the Philippines. So when she goes to bed at night, she's sending final ad details to our graphic designers in the Philippines. She gets up, we get up about 4 o'clock in the morning. I do some meditation work and miracle morning stuff, affirmations. You guys heard my affirmation. And then she'll proof the ads that came in overnight. And then we go to the gym, then we come home, we sit and have breakfast together and kind of go through this stuff. Get in the office by 8, team meeting huddle. What are we doing? Have this focus, boom, 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 boom. Our open houses are due a week in advance to my wife. So the agents have to report their schedules a week in advance. She assigns them the open houses. The ad proof for our Friday display ad. I don't know if we have our Friday, that's our Friday ad. So this is the front page of the Arizona Republic newspaper. And I've owned the front page for 20 years. We have all of our open houses in here, when they're open and what they're at. So what ended up happening is, by Monday, this proof comes back to my wife. It gets sent on Tuesday to the Arizona Republic, but on Monday, all of our open houses are going online on the portals, right? They're going to Zillow, every website that we can post to our open houses, we're posting them on there. Why? Because we want our listings to be seen online Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Right? There's only 3 ways to get a listing on the top of any search engine. New to the market, price reduction, and open houses. Those are 3 push notifications. Right? Well, we're not reactive. I go on expired listing appointments every day. I got sellers that got $1 million houses that they can't sell, and they see my ads, and they see the results, and they call me, and they're like, please help us, please help us. And I'll pull their listings up. The agents never sat opens. Or if they sat a Saturday open from 12 to 4, they put it online on Saturday at 10 a.m. We can see that on our back end of MLS by expanding the history. And I tell it to the sellers, I'm like, it's unfortunate, but we don't run our business that way. We're proactive. You'll know a week in advance because we want everybody in the market. We want all the consumers, all the buyers to see that your house is going to be open Saturday 12 to 4. Buyers don't buy houses online, right? They shop online and then they want to go to the bricks and mortar and experience it. They want to walk into your store. So you're the storefront. I mean, that's how we're going to treat you. And this is what it looks like. And this is how it's done. And the results we get are just phenomenal. And the neighbors see our hustle. Everybody sees our hustle. Everybody. Hustle and grit are 2 of the greatest qualities that you can bring to your business. Right?
Andrew, awesome. Your car guy's here, and
Where's Andrew?
Okay, let's give it up for Andrew. Andrew Passion, right, thank you for coming to Northern California, Hawaii, and we appreciate